Good evening. I'm attorney Vince Davis, and this is my divorce and family law YouTube channel. Welcome back to this channel where I simply talk about complex legal topics like family law and divorce to help you understand and protect your family's future. My name is Vincent W. Davis, and I have over 39 years of experience as a California family law attorney. I'm here to guide you through the topic of California family law and divorce and the process of that divorce. There's a reason why this topic is important. Divorce is one of life's most challenging experiences, but understanding the legal process can make it more manageable. Whether you're just considering divorce or you're already in the process, this video will break down the essentials, the steps involved, your rights, and tips for achieving the best possible outcome. What can you expect in this video? In the next 30 minutes or so, I'll cover number one, the California divorce process, step by step. Number two, I'll cover the key issues like child custody, spousal support, child support, and property division. Number three, I'll talk about common mistakes to avoid and how to protect yourself. Number four, I'll give you real life tips and strategies from my years of experience in the legal practice. Here's the overview of divorce in California. What is divorce? Divorce or dissolution of marriage legally ends a marriage. In California, it's no fault, a no fault divorce state, meaning you don't need to prove wrongdoing. Irreconcilable differences is sufficient. There are residency requirements. To file for divorce in California, at least one of the spouses must have lived in the state for 6 months and in the county where you file for at least 3 months. So there are some key things that you should know, some fundamental terms. The petitioner is the person filing the divorce, and the respondent is the person answering the divorce, the other spouse. Now, there's a difference between legal separation and divorce, which we'll talk about later. And there's a term called summary dissolution for short, uncomplicated marriages. So there is a step-by-step process in doing the divorce. Let me walk you through each step clearly. Number one, filing the petition. The process begins when one spouse, the petitioner, files a petition for dissolution of marriage with the court. This outlines basic details of marriage, including property, children, and requested outcomes. Serving the other spouse. The petitioner must serve the other spouse with the divorce papers. This can be done by a process server or another adult or even the county sheriff. Down in the comments, we are going to attach a blank form, a blank judicial counsel form, which represents the summons in a divorce proceeding and the petition in a divorce proceeding. Once the petitioner serves the respondent has 30 days to file a response with the court, and we'll attach a response also in the comments to this video where you can download and take a look at it. Sometimes after the divorce is filed, or sometimes on the same day, temporary orders may be needed. During the divorce process, you can request temporary orders for things like child custody, spousal support, or who gets to stay in the home, or even domestic violence. After this initial phase of the service and the initial emergency type orders, there's a part of the case called the discovery phase. This is where both parties exchange financial documents and other relevant information. Full disclosure is required, and hiding assets can lead to severe penalties. There's a story that happened in Los Angeles County that I'm aware of. There was this couple who lived together but did not sleep in the same bed. They had been married many years, and they led separate lives, but they were still legally married. One day, the wife played the lottery, and she found out that she won the lottery, and it was a large amount of money. I want to say like 25 million, maybe even more. Well, the next day, she files for divorce, not wanting to give her husband any of the money. When it came time to disclose what assets the wife had, she never disclosed the lottery winnings. The divorce went through, case closed. Maybe 1 or 2 years later, a friend of the husband says, "Ah, too bad you divorced your wife. She ended up winning the lottery." The husband became curious and he went on the California lottery website, and he found that the wife had won the divorce one day before the divorce papers were filed. So the husband called up as an attorney and said, "Hey, is there anything that we can do? Because she hid that asset, that lottery winning." The um, the attorney said, "Yeah, we can make a motion to get your half, and as a penalty, we can ask for her half too." Nobody thought that would happen. But once the motion was made, evidence was taken, perhaps some testimony given, the judge in the case ordered that the husband get his part and that the husband get the wife's part. A very stringent penalty for hiding assets. The wife, of course, took the case up on appeal, but she lost. And the court said that it was within the court's discretion to award the husband 100% of the hidden asset. So before you decide that you want to hide that asset, make sure you talk to your attorney and understand the repercussions of hiding an asset. The next thing we want to talk about in the divorce process is negotiation or mediation. Most California divorces are settled outside of the court through negotiation and mediation. This saves both parties time, stress, and money. If you have a case, talk to your attorney. Talk to your attorney about whether mediation might be worthwhile. There are many private mediators who take on divorce cases to help people settle. If the case isn't settled, the case goes to trial. If you can't agree, the case goes to trial where a judge will decide issues like property division, child custody, and spousal and child support, and of course, attorney's fees. After the trial or the settlement, a final judgment is entered. Once everything is resolved, the judge signs the divorce decree, and California has a 6-month waiting period, so the divorce isn't usually finalized until at least 6 months after the petition is filed. There are some key issues in most divorces. The first one is child custody and visitation. In California, courts prioritize, quote, the best interests of the child, unquote, when determining child custody and visitation. This includes legal custody, the decision-making process over the child, and physical custody, where the child will live. Okay, I want to try to define the difference between legal custody and physical custody. Legal custody is where you make legal decisions about the child. For example, where the child will go to school. Number two, whether the child will have a passport. Number three, what non-emergency medical procedures the child will have. Physical custody is where the child is sleeping. Sometimes it's joint physical custody, sometimes sole physical custody. but those are determined by the judge once you have a trial or hearing or through mediation. There's a tip I want to give. Try to negotiate a parenting plan outside of the court. Judges prefer agreements over contentious battles about custody and visitation. The next major issue is child support. Child support is calculated based on a formula, a scientific formula, that considers each parent's income, the time spent with the child, and other factors. One of the most popular computer software programs that computes child support is DissoMaster. The state of California also has a website that has its own built-in DissoMaster where you can compute child support. If one parent earns significantly more or spends less time with the child, they may pay more in child support. So a lot of times you get in the battle and maybe dad is the higher income earner and he wants 50-50 child custody so that his child support payment to the mother is less. The next main issue is spousal support, otherwise known as alimony. Spousal support can be temporary or long-term. It's based upon factors like the length of the marriage, each spouse's income, and their earning capacity. One of the tips that I give is if you're requesting spousal support, document your expenses carefully. Lifestyle of the parties is a significant consideration by the judge. The last major issue is California's property division. California is a community property state, meaning all assets and debts acquired during the marriage are divided equally, unless otherwise agreed. Separate property, such as gifts, inheritances, or pre-marriage assets, typically stays with the original owner. I will warn you and tell you there are many exceptions to that rule, but that is the general rule. Number 5, there are some common mistakes that I want you to avoid. Number 1, hiding assets. It's illegal and it will backfire on you eventually. Number 2, ignoring the importance of legal representation or guidance. I can't tell you how many people have come to me after their divorce is final and a huge mistake was made by them and they want to try to reverse it, which can't always be done. I remember a case where a woman self-represented herself and signed away, probably because she didn't know, the family home. Even though the husband had purchased the home prior to marriage, he was making payments on the home during the marriage. He bamboozled her and got her to sign off that the house was 100% hers. She later learns after her divorce that that's not the law. We make a motion to bring that asset back under the court jurisdiction to divide it equally, or at least 60-40, because the husband owned the home prior to marriage. And because the wife had waited too long, I think almost 3 years, to make that move legally, the court denied her motion. So don't ignore the importance of legal representation, at least getting some type of consultation. The next thing I want you to remember that you want to avoid is letting emotions drive your decisions. Stay focused on the bigger picture, especially when the kids are involved. The next mistake you want to avoid is neglecting to consider tax implications of support or property division. I see this all the time. And being a former certified public accountant here in California, that's one of the things that we try to remember to cover. It's the tax implications, because the tax implications could make a good deal really bad in the end. Well, I want to talk about some final tips and some invite you for a question and answer invitation. Remember, divorce doesn't have to ruin your finances or your family dynamics. Seek guidance early, stay organized, and communicate effectively with your attorney. I like to do it with my clients via email. It's always documented, and there's always a record of it. Have your questions about your divorce case, written out. Drop them in the comments if you ever have questions, and I'll do my best to address them in future videos. Or if you need personalized legal advice, reach out to my office directly. We're here to help. On the screen is my telephone number, 888-888-6582. In closing, I want to thank you for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss future content. I'm going to be trying to do at least 2 or 3 videos per week. I'll see you next time, and as we continue to tackle family law issues in California, stay educated and stay informed. We'll see you on